Michael Reed was a man many looked up to. He was a billionaire, one of the richest people in America. He had built his fortune with hard work, smart ideas, and a little bit of luck. His name was on the front pages of newspapers, his face appeared on TV shows, and people admired how successful he was. But beneath the shiny surface of wealth and power, Michael was a man like any other one with fears, hopes, and weaknesses. On a cold, gray morning in early November, something changed. Michael woke up feeling strange. His head was heavy, and the world seemed to spin around him. He brushed it off at first, thinking maybe he was just tired or stressed from his busy schedule. But as he got out of bed, he felt dizzy and weak. He held onto the edge of the bed, trying to steady himself. His wife, Linda, noticed something was wrong. "Michael, are you okay?" she asked, concern in her voice. Michael tried to smile but couldn't find the strength. Suddenly, he stumbled and fell to the floor. Linda screamed, calling for help. The household was filled with panic. The housekeeper, Amelia, rushed to Michael's side. She gently held his hand and looked into his eyes, which seemed distant and unfocused. Linda immediately called 911. The ambulance arrived quickly, and paramedics began their work. Michael's breathing was shallow, and his heartbeat was weak. He was rushed to the hospital, leaving Linda and their daughter, Emma, behind in the grand mansion. Michael had everything anyone could want: a big house, fancy cars, and a family who loved him. But none of that mattered now. The doctors needed to save his life. At the hospital, the mood was tense. The emergency room was busy, but everyone knew this was a special case. Michael Reed was not just any patient, he was a man whose decisions affected thousands of people. The doctors worked fast, checking his heart, lungs, and brain. They ordered many tests: blood tests, scans, and X-rays. But nothing gave a clear answer. Dr. Susan Clark, the lead doctor, was calm but worried. "We need to find the cause quickly," she told her team. "His condition is serious, and time is running out." Michael's family waited in a quiet room nearby. Linda held Emma close, trying to stay strong for her little girl. She felt helpless, watching the people who had once helped her husband grow rich now struggle to save his life. The news spread quickly. The billionaire who seemed untouchable was now fighting for every breath. Reporters gathered outside the hospital, and many people sent their prayers and good wishes. Back at the mansion, the house was unusually quiet. Amelia, the housekeeper, had been with the family for years. She knew the house better than anyone and knew Michael's daily routine. She thought about how just hours ago, everything had seemed normal. Michael had been sitting in his study, working on a new business plan. Now, he was lying in a hospital bed, unsure if he would live or die. Amelia's eyes were filled with worry. She had always cared for the family, not just as an employee but almost like a member. She remembered the small things: Michael's favorite coffee in the morning, the way he smiled at Emma, the kindness he showed to people around him when no one was watching. But something about this illness didn't make sense. Michael was strong and healthy. He didn't smoke, didn't drink much, and had regular check-ups. How could this happen so suddenly? As the hours passed, the doctors tried everything they could. Specialists came and went, each offering a new idea or treatment. Some thought it might be a stroke, others suspected a severe infection. But tests kept coming back unclear. Michael's heart kept beating, but his body was weak. Machines helped him breathe, and nurses watched him every second. The family's hope began to flicker like a candle in the wind. Linda stayed by his side as much as she could. She held his hand and whispered, "Please come back to us, Michael. Emma needs her father." Emma, only 7 years old, didn't fully understand what was happening. She missed her dad's laughter and the way he used to play with her in the garden. She drew pictures for him, hoping he could see them in the hospital. Meanwhile, the media frenzy grew. Everyone wanted to know what had happened to Michael Reed. The story was everywhere on TV, radio, and social media. People shared their memories of how Michael had inspired them or helped their communities. But inside the mansion, Amelia knew that no headline or news story could fix this. The family needed more than fame or fortune now, they needed answers. One quiet moment, Amelia walked through the house, looking at the objects Michael loved. She thought about his health and his strange symptoms. She felt a deep sadness and a growing determination. Maybe, just maybe, she could find something others had missed. That night, as the city lights flickered outside, Michael's life hung in the balance. 20 doctors had tried to save him, but the cause of his illness remained a mystery. The housekeeper, quiet and observant, was about to become the family's unexpected hope. Michael Reed's hospital room was filled with machines that beeped softly, tracking every breath and heartbeat. Outside the room, the air was thick with worry. 20 of the best doctors in the country had come together to save Michael's life. Each one was an expert in a different area: heart, brain, lungs, and infections. They were the best, but this illness was confusing them all. Dr. Susan Clark, the head doctor, stood at the foot of Michael's bed, her arms crossed as she watched the monitors. "His heart looks strong," she said to the group. "His brain scans show no signs of stroke or injury. Blood tests are normal for infection. We're missing something." Dr. Patel, a neurologist, frowned. "Could it be poisoning?" he asked. "Something rare, maybe." "No clear signs," Dr. Clark replied. "We've run every standard test. If it's poisoning, it's something unusual." The doctors talked quietly, sharing ideas, but none felt certain. Michael's family waited anxiously in the hospital's visitor room. Linda had been by Michael's side since his arrival, but now she sat, exhausted, holding their daughter Emma's small hand. Emma had fallen asleep on her lap, her soft breathing a small comfort. Back at the mansion, Amelia was feeling restless. She had been pacing the large rooms, thinking about Michael's illness. She knew the family had trusted the best doctors, but something deep inside told her there was more to discover. Amelia decided to start her own search. She knew every corner of the house and every little detail. If there was a clue, she would find it. She began in the kitchen. The house was quiet, except for the soft ticking of the clock. She opened cabinets, looking for anything unusual. Most things were where they should be, but then she stopped. A small bottle sat hidden behind some jars. It was dusty and had no label. Curious, Amelia picked it up. The liquid inside looked clear, but the bottle seemed old, forgotten. She frowned. Why would such a bottle be hidden away? She carefully put it on the kitchen counter and made a note to ask Linda about it later. The next day, the doctors continued their work. They checked Michael's lungs, his heart, his blood again and again. But the illness did not improve. The machines showed little change. Michael's family grew more tired, more afraid. Linda sat by his bedside, her hand holding his limp one. "Please, Michael," she whispered, "fight for us." The doctors also felt the weight of the moment. Dr. Clark called a meeting to review everything. "We've done all the usual tests," she said, "but nothing explains why Michael is so sick." Dr. Lewis, a toxicologist, spoke up. "We need to test for rare poisons or chemicals. Sometimes, toxins can hide in the body and cause strange symptoms." Dr. Clark nodded. "Good idea. Let's run those tests immediately." Meanwhile, Amelia found Linda alone in the quiet house. She showed her the small, dusty bottle. "Have you seen this before?" she asked softly. Linda looked surprised. "No, I haven't. But maybe Michael did. He liked to try new health supplements and medicines. Maybe this is one of them." Amelia frowned. "It was hidden behind the jars." "That seems strange." Linda agreed, "It does. I'll tell the doctors about this." At the hospital, the doctors received the news about the bottle. They sent samples to the lab and waited. Hours passed. Finally, the test results came back. Dr. Lewis looked at the paper carefully. "This chemical," he said, "is a rare toxin used in some industrial products. It can cause damage to the nervous system and the heart." Dr. Clark's eyes widened. That fits Michael's symptoms. But how did he get exposed? Dr. Patel wondered aloud. Linda called Amelia that evening. "Thank you for finding that bottle," she said. "It might have saved Michael's life." Amelia smiled softly. "I just wanted to help." Together, they thought about how the toxin could have gotten into Michael's system. The family rarely handled chemicals, and the mansion was carefully cleaned. It was a mystery. Linda looked around the house, trying to remember if anything had changed recently. "Michael was working on a new project," she said. "He was spending a lot of time in the basement workshop." Amelia nodded. "Maybe something happened there." The next day, Dr. Clark told the family, "We have found the cause. Michael was exposed to a rare toxin. We can treat it, but we need to act fast." Linda squeezed Michael's hand tightly. "We're ready," she said. The doctors began the treatment right away. It was a difficult process. The toxin was strong, and the damage had been deep. But Michael's body began to respond slowly. The color returned to his skin, and his breathing grew steadier. Amelia continued to watch from the sidelines. She felt a deep relief but also a new determination. There was still one mystery left: how did the toxin get into the mansion? That night, as Michael rested, the family gathered quietly in the living room. For the first time in days, there was a small sense of hope. They knew the road ahead was long, but they had found the key to his recovery. Amelia stood near the window, looking out at the dark sky. She was the quiet guardian of the house, the one who noticed what others missed. And she knew she would not stop until the full truth was revealed. The mansion was large and beautiful, with shiny floors and tall windows that let in the sunlight. But to Amelia, the house was more than just a building. It was a place full of memories, small secrets, and quiet moments. She had worked there for many years, cleaning, cooking, and caring for the family. She knew every room, every corner, and every hidden spot. Now, after Michael's sudden illness and the discovery of the strange toxin, Amelia felt a new responsibility. She believed there was something more to the story, something that the doctors, busy in the hospital, had not yet found. Amelia was not a doctor. She had no medical training. But she had something else: a sharp eye and a strong heart. She noticed things others did not. That morning, Amelia started her day as usual, cleaning the house and preparing breakfast. But her mind was not on the routine work. It was on Michael and the mysterious toxin. How did it get into the mansion? Who or what caused it? She walked slowly through the rooms, looking carefully at the shelves, the tables, and even the garbage bins. Nothing seemed out of place, but Amelia knew better than to trust first impressions. In the kitchen, she opened cabinets and checked the food containers, making sure nothing was spoiled or strange. Then, she went to the basement, Michael's workshop. The basement was a quiet, dusty place filled with tools, boxes, and half-finished projects. It was where Michael spent many hours working on his inventions and ideas. Amelia walked slowly among the shelves, her eyes searching for any sign of the toxin. Suddenly, something caught her attention: a small, nearly empty container hidden behind a toolbox. The label was faded, but she could make out the words "industrial cleaner." Her heart raced. Could this be the source? Amelia took the container upstairs and showed it to Linda, who was sitting quietly by the window, holding Emma in her lap. "Look at this," Amelia said softly. It was hidden behind the tools. Maybe Michael used it in the workshop. Linda frowned. "I don't remember seeing this before. Michael was always careful with chemicals." Amelia nodded. "But maybe someone else brought it here." Linda's eyes grew wide. "You mean, someone in the house?" Amelia didn't answer. She only looked thoughtful. She wanted to find out the truth but was careful not to accuse anyone. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Michael's condition was slowly improving. The doctors continued the treatment to remove the toxin from his body. Each day, his breathing grew stronger, and he began to show signs of waking. Dr. Clark was hopeful but cautious. "Michael is fighting," she told the family. "But he is not out of danger yet." Linda stayed at his side, holding his hand and talking softly. "We're here, Michael. We love you. Please come back to us." Back at the mansion, Amelia decided to watch more closely. She spoke to the other staff, maids, gardeners, and cooks, quietly asking if they had seen anything unusual. Most said no, but one young gardener mentioned seeing a stranger near the house a few days ago. The man wore a hat and carried a small box. He seemed nervous and left quickly when noticed. Amelia felt a chill. Could this visitor be connected to the toxin? She wrote down the description and planned to tell Linda and the police. That evening, Amelia found herself in Michael's study, a room filled with books, papers, and Michael's personal notes. She picked up a notebook lying on the desk. It was full of scribbles and ideas, but one page stood out. Michael had written about a new project, something he called Project Green. It was meant to create clean energy using new materials. He was excited but worried about safety. Amelia's heart sank. Could the toxin be connected to this project? She carefully put the notebook back and made a plan. She would learn more about Project Green. Maybe it held the answer to the mystery. The next morning, Linda met Amelia in the kitchen. "Thank you for all you are doing," she said. "I feel like you are the only one who sees what really matters." Amelia smiled softly. "I just want to help. Michael is like family." Together, they called the police and shared the gardener's story and Amelia's discoveries. The police promised to investigate the visitor and check the mansion carefully. As the days passed, Michael's health continued to improve. He opened his eyes for a moment and saw Linda's worried face. A small smile appeared. Linda's tears flowed freely. "You're going to be okay," she whispered. "We need you." Michael's slow recovery gave the family hope, but the question of the toxin's origin still hung in the air like a shadow. Amelia stayed close, watching and listening. She knew the truth was hidden somewhere in the house, waiting to be found. One evening, as the sun set behind the tall trees, Amelia sat quietly in the living room. She thought about Michael, the family, and the danger they had faced. She felt proud to have helped, but she knew the work was not over. The mansion was full of secrets, and Amelia was ready to uncover them all. Amelia woke up early, her mind full of questions. The strange toxin that had almost taken Michael's life was still a mystery. How had it come into the house? Who had brought it? She felt a quiet determination inside her. She had to find answers. After finishing her morning chores, Amelia decided to search the mansion again. This time, she moved more slowly, carefully looking at every corner. She wasn't just cleaning, she was hunting for a clue. The house was still waking up. Linda was making breakfast, and Emma was playing quietly in the living room. But Amelia's thoughts were far away. She started in the basement workshop where she had found a container of industrial cleaner. The place smelled of old wood and metal. Tools lay scattered on the workbench. The air was thick with dust. Amelia's eyes caught sight of something odd near the back wall, a small door she had never noticed before. It was hidden behind boxes and old furniture, almost invisible in the shadows. Her heart quickened. Could this be a secret room? Carefully, Amelia moved the boxes aside. The door was small and looked old, with rusty hinges. She tried the handle, it was locked. She looked around for something to open it but found nothing. Amelia felt a mix of fear and curiosity. Was this part of Michael's secret project? Or something dangerous? She decided to tell Linda. Linda listened carefully as Amelia explained what she had found. A hidden door? She asked, surprised. Yes, Amelia said. I think it might be important. Michael was working on Project Green, and maybe this room has something to do with it. Linda nodded slowly. I'll call the locksmith to open it. We need to know what's inside. While waiting for the locksmith, Linda and Amelia talked about Michael's work. Project Green was meant to change the future by creating clean energy. Michael was excited but worried about safety. He wanted to protect his family and the world. Amelia wondered if someone had tried to stop him. The locksmith arrived in the afternoon and worked quietly. After a few minutes, the lock clicked open. Amelia held her breath as the door slowly creaked. Inside was a small, dark room filled with shelves. Boxes were stacked neatly, and papers were spread across a table. Amelia turned on the light. The room looked like a secret laboratory. Amelia carefully stepped inside. On the shelves, she saw bottles with strange labels, notebooks filled with writing, and electronic devices. She picked up one notebook and opened it. The pages were full of drawings and notes about chemicals and energy sources. It was Michael's work, the heart of Project Green. Suddenly, Amelia's eyes fell on a small box on the table. It was marked hazardous. She opened it slowly and gasped. Inside were small vials filled with a clear liquid, the same toxin that had made Michael so sick. Amelia's hands shook. She realized that this toxin was part of Michael's experiments. But how had it gotten into his body? She looked closer and found a torn piece of paper under the box. It was a note, written in a hurried hand, handle with care. Keep away from children and family. Do not trust anyone. Amelia felt a chill. Someone knew the danger and wanted to keep it secret. But who? And why? She quickly closed the box and locked the door. She needed to tell Linda and the doctors immediately. When Linda arrived, Amelia showed her the room and the note. Linda's face turned pale. "This is more serious than we thought," she said. "Michael was protecting us and someone tried to harm him." Together, they called Dr. Clark. The doctor promised to send specialists to the mansion to investigate. As night fell, the mansion felt different. The secret room was a reminder that danger had been closer than anyone had guessed. Amelia stayed awake, thinking about the toxin and the hidden messages. She knew that Michael's illness was no accident. Someone had tried to hurt him and maybe the whole family. But Amelia was not afraid. She was ready to protect the people she loved. The next morning, the specialists arrived. They took samples from the room and carefully studied the vials and papers. Dr. Lewis, the toxicologist, looked serious. "This toxin is very dangerous," he said. "If it had spread more, it could have harmed others." Linda nodded, tears in her eyes. "We owe Amelia our thanks. She found what the doctors missed." Amelia smiled quietly. "I only did what anyone would do." The police began their investigation. They asked the family and staff many questions. Amelia told them about the stranger the gardener had seen and the hidden door. The police promised to find out who was behind the danger. That night, Amelia sat by the fireplace, thinking. The house was no longer just a mansion. It was a place of secrets, hope, and courage. Michael's fight for life had opened a door not just in the basement, but in their hearts. Amelia knew the road ahead would be difficult, but she was not alone. The family was together, stronger than before. And she would keep watching, protecting, and finding the truth no matter what. The days passed slowly, but the tension in the Reed mansion did not fade. Michael's condition continued to improve, and the doctors were hopeful. Still, the mystery of the toxin haunted everyone. Amelia kept a careful watch over the house. She moved quietly through the rooms, alert to any unusual sound or movement. Her eyes scanned the windows, doors, and dark corners. She felt a responsibility not only to Michael but to the whole family. One afternoon, as Amelia was dusting the large living room, the doorbell rang. She wasn't expecting anyone. Amelia glanced at the clock. It was late in the day. She walked to the door and looked through the peephole. Outside stood a man in a simple coat and hat. He looked calm but serious. Amelia hesitated before opening the door. The man smiled politely. "Hello," he said. "My name is David Parker. I'm an investigator. I was sent by Mr. Reed's business partner. May I come in?" Amelia thought for a moment. She knew Linda and the family had many friends and associates. But she also remembered the warning from the note found in the secret room, "Do not trust anyone." Still, Amelia decided to let the man in. She called Linda, who was in the kitchen. Linda met David in the living room. She was cautious but polite. "Mr. Parker, how can we help you?" she asked. David smiled gently. "I understand you are going through a difficult time. I came to offer support and see if I can help with the investigation into the toxin." Linda nodded. "Thank you for coming. We appreciate any help." David looked around the room with interest. Michael was working on something important, wasn't he? Linda glanced toward the stairs. "Yes. Project Green." David's eyes lit up. "I heard about that. It's a promising project, but it has made some people nervous." Linda's face tightened. "What do you mean?" David sighed. In business, there are always risks. Some people don't want to see new ideas succeed because it threatens their own interests. Amelia listened carefully from the kitchen. She did not trust David, but she also wanted to hear everything. David continued. I believe someone tried to sabotage Michael's work. The toxin in the house was part of that plan. Linda felt a chill. But who? How can we find out? David looked serious. That's what I'm here for. I want to help you find the truth. Days passed, and David stayed close to the family, helping the police and the doctors with the investigation. He asked questions and reviewed documents. Amelia watched him carefully. Sometimes, she noticed small things. David would quietly check locks or look at the windows, as if he was searching for something. One afternoon, Amelia found David in the basement workshop, near the secret door. He was holding the same bottle of industrial cleaner Amelia had found earlier. Mr. Parker, Amelia said softly. What are you doing? David looked up, surprised. Just checking the evidence. Amelia didn't say more but made a silent promise to watch him closely. Meanwhile, Michael's condition improved enough for him to return home. The family was overjoyed. Linda and Emma prepared his room carefully, making it comfortable. When Michael arrived, his eyes shone with gratitude. Thank you all, he whispered. For saving me. Amelia smiled. We're glad you're back, Mr. Reed. But even as Michael recovered, the mystery deepened. Strange things began to happen in the mansion. One night, Amelia heard noises near the secret room. She quietly moved toward the sound and saw a shadow disappear behind the door. She called Linda, who quickly came with her. Together, they opened the door and found the room disturbed, papers scattered, some equipment missing. Linda gasped. Someone has been here. Amelia nodded. And they were looking for something. The family grew more worried. Who was trying to harm them? Could the threat still be inside the house? Linda called the police again, and they increased their watch. David Parker offered to help protect the family, but Amelia's eyes never left him. She was not sure she could trust him. One evening, Amelia found a small note hidden in the garden. It was written in hurried letters, Trust no one. Danger is closer than you think. Amelia showed the note to Linda. They both felt fear, but also determination. Linda said, We will not give up. We will find the truth. As the sun set behind the trees, Amelia stood by the window, watching the darkening sky. She thought about the danger around the family and the mystery yet to solve. Michael was alive, but the shadows were still moving. Amelia knew one thing for sure: she would protect this family no matter what, even if it meant facing the darkness alone. The Reed mansion was full of quiet tension. Michael was getting better every day, but the family still felt the weight of what had happened. The mysterious toxin, the hidden room, and the stranger who had come to the house, all of it made their world feel fragile and uncertain. Amelia worked harder than ever, cleaning the rooms carefully and watching the house closely. She could not forget the warning note she had found in the secret room, Trust no one. Danger is closer than you think. She wanted to believe that the danger was gone, but her heart told her to be careful. David Parker, the man who had arrived unexpectedly, was still staying at the mansion. He helped the police and talked to the family about the investigation. To Linda and some others, he seemed kind and helpful. But Amelia was not sure. She watched David quietly, noticing small things: a glance that was too quick, a question asked too carefully. One evening, Amelia found David near the secret room again. He was holding the bottle of industrial cleaner, looking at it with a strange expression. "Mr. Parker," Amelia said softly. "Why are you here alone?" David smiled but did not answer directly. "I'm just making sure everything is safe," he said. Amelia didn't like the answer. She decided to tell Linda. Linda listened carefully but was worried. "Are you sure, Amelia? Maybe he is really here to help." Amelia shook her head. "I can't explain it, but something feels wrong." Linda sighed. "We must trust the police and be careful. We can't let fear rule us." Days passed, and the family tried to find peace. Michael was slowly returning to his normal life. He spent time with Emma and Linda, laughing and telling stories. But the feeling of being watched never left Amelia. She began to check the house at night, moving silently through the dark halls. One night, as the moon shone softly through the windows, Amelia heard a noise near the garden. She moved quietly outside and saw a shadow moving behind the bushes. Her heart beat fast, but she followed the figure at a distance. The shadow was quick and careful. Amelia could not see the face but noticed the person carrying a small bag. Suddenly, the figure stopped near the garden door to the basement workshop, the secret room's entrance. Amelia watched as the person unlocked the door, went inside, and stayed for a few minutes. When the person came out, the bag looked heavier. Amelia knew she had to act but was afraid to confront the stranger alone. The next morning, Amelia told Linda and the police what she had seen. Linda called Michael, and together they made a plan. They would watch the house carefully and catch whoever was trying to harm them. The police set up cameras near the secret door and increased their patrols. Amelia stayed close, feeling more alert than ever. A few nights later, the cameras captured the intruder, a man trying to enter the secret room again. The police arrived quickly and arrested the man. To everyone's surprise, it was David Parker. Linda was shocked. How could he betray us? Amelia felt a mix of relief and sadness. She had trusted no one but now felt the truth was clearer. David was taken away, and the police found more evidence connecting him to Charles Hayes, the man who wanted to stop Michael's project. Michael was safe, but the family knew the fight was not over. In the days after, Amelia and Linda cleaned the secret room together. They talked quietly about the future. Linda smiled. "Thank you, Amelia. You saved my family." Amelia smiled back. "I only did what I had to do." Michael stood by the window, looking out at the garden. He was tired but hopeful. "Project Green will continue," he said softly. "Because we learned something more important than science: the power of trust, courage, and love." The mansion was no longer just a big house. It was a place where secrets were uncovered, and hearts were strong. Amelia knew that no matter what came next, she would always protect this family. And now, more than ever, they would stand together stronger than before. The sun was rising slowly over the Reed mansion. Its soft light came through the tall windows and touched the wooden floors, bringing warmth into the quiet house. Birds sang gently outside, but inside, everyone was holding their breath. Michael Reed was sitting up in his bed for the first time in weeks. His face was thin, his body still weak, but his eyes were full of life. Linda sat beside him, smiling through her tears. Emma ran into the room, laughing with joy, and gave her father a gentle hug. "You came back, Daddy," she whispered. Michael hugged her back. "I never wanted to leave you." Amelia stood quietly by the door, watching the family with a soft smile. She had stayed close, not only as a housekeeper but as a silent protector. She had noticed what no one else did. She had followed every clue and stayed brave when others were afraid. Linda walked over and took Amelia's hand. "We wouldn't be here without you," she said. "You saved us." Amelia shook her head gently. "I just did what I knew was right." Later that morning, the police arrived again. This time, they brought answers. The officer, Mr. Harris, spoke kindly but seriously. "We have finished our investigation," he said. "We know who brought the toxin into the house." Everyone listened closely. It was a man named Charles Hayes. He used to work with one of Michael's business partners. When Michael started Project Green, Charles became angry. He feared it would ruin his own business. He planned to stop the project by harming Michael. Michael closed his eyes for a moment. "I trusted that man once. He paid someone to sneak into the mansion and place the toxin," the officer explained. "We believe that person entered through the garden at night. But he left in a hurry when one of your workers saw him." Linda and Amelia looked at each other. It matched what the gardener had told them. "We also checked the man who called himself David Parker," the officer continued. "He was not sent by any business partner. He was working for Charles Hayes. He was here to find out if anyone had discovered the secret room and to remove the evidence." Amelia felt her heart tighten. She had always felt something was wrong with David. "He has now been arrested," Mr. Harris said. "Thanks to the information you gave us, Miss Amelia." Michael looked at Amelia with deep respect. "You saved my life, and my work." In the following days, the mansion began to feel peaceful again. The fear was gone. The family smiled more, and laughter returned to the halls. Michael started walking again with the help of doctors. Emma often walked beside him, holding his hand. He shared stories with her and promised to take her to the park once he was strong enough. Project Green was placed back on track. Michael was careful this time. He made sure the safety of his team and his family came first. He also made a decision that surprised everyone. "I want Amelia to be part of this project," he told his team one day. "She has shown wisdom, strength, and care beyond anyone else. She won't just clean the rooms anymore, she'll help us protect our future." Amelia was shocked at first, but she accepted the offer with a thankful heart. One evening, the family held a small dinner in the garden. The sky was clear, and the stars sparkled above them. Linda raised her glass. "To healing, to truth, and to those who see what others miss." Michael added, "To Amelia, our guardian angel." Everyone clapped and smiled. Amelia felt tears in her eyes, but she hid them behind a small laugh. She had never asked for attention. She never wanted a reward. But at that moment, she felt seen and valued, not just as a housekeeper but as a person who mattered. Weeks passed, and life slowly returned to normal. The mansion, once full of silence and worry, now felt like home again. Amelia took long walks in the garden, sometimes with Emma beside her, telling stories and asking questions. Michael worked on his project with care, always remembering the lesson he had learned: health and love were more important than money. And Linda, strong as ever, stood by her family, thankful for every new day. One morning, as Amelia placed fresh flowers on the dining table, Emma ran in with a big smile. "Miss Amelia," she called. "Daddy says we're going to visit the city this weekend. You have to come." Amelia laughed. "I'd love to." Emma nodded. "Good. Because you're part of the family now. The mansion stood tall under the bright sky. It had seen fear, mystery, and danger, but also bravery, love, and truth. Amelia, once just a quiet housekeeper in the background, had become the heart of it all. She didn't wear a white coat. She wasn't one of the 20 doctors. But she had done something they couldn't. She saw what they missed and saved the man no one could.